The Boy Who Cried Wolf. There was once a shepherd boy called George who tended his sheep in the hilly slopes just outside of town. Baa! Baa! He worked all day by himself and often got lonely and bored, with just his flock for company. George tried to find ways to keep himself busy. He got the sheep to jump over a stile and counted them one by one, but this just made him sleepy. He gave them funny hairstyles, but the sheep weren't impressed. Early morning, George would move the sheep from field to field so that they could graze on the green grass. But it was boring to watch them all day long. He was fed up of having to rescue the silly sheep from the hedges and the ditches. So one day, after spending all morning trying to catch the naughty ewe, George came up with an idea. He left his flock unattended and rushed down the slopes towards the town as fast as his legs could carry him. He pretended to be in a panic and shouted, "A wolf is attacking my sheep!" The townspeople jumped up and down and ran with George back to his flock. They soon realised, however, there was no wolf, and they returned to town grumbling. George went back to his duties for the next few days, but the weather was cold and wet. He didn't enjoy being out in the rain at all and started to think about playing his trick again. So the next morning he ran into town again shouting, "Wolf, wolf, there really is a wolf this time!" He burst into the courtroom and ran up to the judge. "You must come and help me rescue the sheep, otherwise I'll lose my flock." Again the townspeople came rushing to help him, but when they saw there was no wolf, just like the first time, they were very cross. Soon after they left, George noticed something moving in the trees. He thought it was his eyes playing tricks, but then he saw a very bright eyes and sharp teeth. The wolf came rushing towards the sheep. They ran away as fast as they could. Grrrr! George waved his arms and shouted at the wolf to leave, but it was no good. He turned around and ran, crying, "Wolf!" in earnest this time. He rushed into the town calling for help, but no one would listen. He ran to the butcher, who shook his head. "You've lied one too many times." Then he ran to the baker. He shook his head and sent him away. Eventually, George gave up and hurried back to his flock. Some of the sheep were missing, and the rest were scattered far and wide. The wolf was fast asleep, looking fatter than before. George shouted at the wolf to wake him and chased him away at last. It took George all day and all night to gather the rest of his flock. George had learnt that a liar will not be believed even when he speaks the truth. The end. I hope you enjoyed that, boys and girls. And if you want to talk about the story with your mums and dads, do, and let me know what you think about George being naughty and not telling the truth. Take care. Bye.